What you likely didn't see here on Court TV, if you were watching, you didn't see the details that came from the witness stand through the niece and nephew of John O'Keefe. That was something that the court ordered, that there could be no video and no audio.
That's right. What you just heard is true. The court went dark when the children gave testimony, and that means that the court instructed no audio or video recording. And can you imagine having to write everything by hand to scribe your notes? Wow. I don't know about you, but I can't even read my own handwriting half the time. And we are going to talk about, is it a good idea that children give testimony? And how can you ensure that they haven't been coached so that they favor one side or another? Hello, all you wonderful legal-minded friends. You are here because you know information is power. And guess what? I have Ziggy, my grandpuppy Ziggy, to help me with today's video. So we would like to welcome all our new subscribers, our replay viewers, and dedicated supporters. To kick us off, let's listen to a bit more of the news clip, and then we will discuss the benefits of children testifying and what we should be mindful of.
So what we have now is Boston 25 reporter Ted Daniel, who is inside of that courtroom today for this testimony of the minor children. He's joining us live from Massachusetts. You've been following this case from the very beginning. You're adamant about your tweets from inside of the courtroom. They are very helpful to knowing what's going on there. And you put out some really great notes about what had happened. I think you were relegated not even to being able to tweet during that testimony because the court said no electronics, so you had to handwrite them down. But I want to get your take from being inside of the courtroom, what the demeanor of the niece and nephew were like and what they had to say about Karen Read's relationship with John O'Keefe before he died.
Well, I think this is a key component, Julia, to the prosecution's argument and their theory that, they say the relationship had soured, that Karen was at the end of her rope with John and was, thinking about somebody else. And I think they brought the children in to sort of back that theory up. Both kids testified.
Now, I've stopped it right there as the court TV reporter will shed some details as to what the children testified to. But why would the court need to call children to testify? So I wanted to do this video because, as you will see on the screen, a chat message that represents many viewers. They were concerned that the Commonwealth of Massachuetts went a step too far in requesting the children to testify. Let's hear what they testified to, then I'll give you my take. And please, if you do not know the background of this case, start with my playlist, as that will catch you up.
Both kids testified that, at the beginning of the relationship, it was great, and they enjoyed Karen. But they both said towards the end of the relationship that things were not as good. And they were specifically asked about, arguments that the two may have had, whether it had been on vacation or at the house. Keep in mind, Karen was a big part of the kids' life. She would drive them to school. She took care of them a lot. John was a police officer, so he had, tough hours, and Karen was there during a lot of time for the kids.
It's sobering to remember that they not only lost their mother, their father, adopted by their uncle, then to not only lose him, but it sounds like Karen was very much a mother figure in their life for a period of time. And now they've lost her, not only to this incident, but now that she's on trial, that who knows what will happen when the jury gets this case. But Ted, what was it like as far as the minors coming into the courtroom? We know the family of both parties are there. We have John O'Keefe's family, who has been in this courtroom every day, but also Karen Read's family. How did they respond to the kids on the stand? And did you notice anything from the jury?
Yeah, the courtroom is so small, and right now the only people that are essentially allowed in is a group of Karen Read's family and friends, and then John O'Keefe's family and friends. So that's about it, besides the 10 members of the media. And as you mentioned, I was kind of struck that when they said when the children were coming in, we knew that the cameras would have to go off, and I think that was a great thing that the court did. There was no reason for the that to be broadcast, that testimony, but they said to us, okay, we even want your electronics put away. You couldn't take notes. So the court literally went and grabbed paper and pen for us reporters who've gone all electronic, and that's the way we took our notes. As for the family, I mean, I think that, you know, these kids are so special to the O'Keefe family. They've been through so much. I think it had to have been hard for them to see, you know, a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old in this setting. The defense didn't spend a lot of time on cross with the kids, maybe a couple quick questions. And one of the things that struck me from the defense, it was David Yannetti who was doing the cross, and he said to the 13-year-old boy.
We will hear what the defense said to the 13-year-old nephew in just a bit. However, what we did hear is that the defendant, Karen Read, took responsibility of some of the day-to-day care of the children. So this is important, as they could provide insight that could support the Commonwealth's theory of why Karen Read may have been so upset to run him over. So the brief background is, in this case, the children suffered incredible loss when their parents both died within months of each other. Their uncle, the victim, John O'Keefe, took custody of them. Let's continue with the news reporting on this.
The defense didn't spend a lot of time on cross with the kids, maybe a couple quick questions. And one of the things that struck me from the defense, it was David Yannetti who was doing the cross, and he said to the 13-year-old boy, after asking one question, he said, "I'm sorry that you have to be here." And that's the way he ended, you know, his cross with that child. And it seemed like the prosecution wanted to make a point that, you know, that the kids had seen some stuff. And I think if I was on the jury, I think that, okay, I understand that, at least in the eyes of the kids, they're saying that, you know, that it wasn't all roses in this relationship.
All right, I saw in your notes that you mentioned the niece witnessed some yelling or overheard some yelling in Aruba that the jury has heard a lot about. That would have been about 4 weeks before this incident. But I also noticed in your notes the night or the morning after John O'Keefe was missing, that at 4:30 in the morning, the niece was woken up by Karen. What did the jury learn about what was happening inside of that home when John O'Keefe was not there, but Karen Read was?
So now we are at the heart of the niece's testimony. What she testified, she heard Karen Read saying. Listen carefully.
What did the jury learn about what was happening inside of that home when John O'Keefe was not there, but Karen Read was?
Yeah, so it was 4:30 in the morning. This is, you know, about 2 hours before John O'Keefe's body would be discovered on the lawn of 34 Fairview Road in Canton. And the niece said that Karen came in, said her name, and she was just kind of waking up, and then Karen walked out. And then she said that she heard her name again. And then Karen asked her to make a number of phone calls. One to Jennifer McCabe, who had been at 34 Fairview Road the night before.
If you want to know more about what happened when Jennifer McCabe and Carrie Roberts came over that morning, I have done a video on this, so you can watch that. It's called Can You Spot a Lie? As the reporter is going to tell us how what the niece said is matching up with what others have said. But was that her original statement to the police? Let's have a listen.
And that the niece said that she overheard during one of those phone calls Karen saying something to the effect of, "Did I hit him? Could I have hit him?" And that's sort of been echoed by previous witnesses, including some of the first responders. So that is another person who has said that Karen made somewhat incriminating statements. And so this is the time where she calls, I believe, Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts, and then they end up coming to John's house where Karen was going to, where Karen was at, and then they go out looking for John shortly after that.
You know, Ted, it's confused me a bit when I've heard everything around this testimony before the niece and nephew took the stand as to why Karen Read had to get the niece involved. Did it become clear why she had to get her to make those calls to people, why she didn't call herself? Did she not have the numbers, or was there a reason that she had the niece so involved in this kind of panic of looking for John O'Keefe?
I mean, I think it's logical that if you're thinking on Karen's side of this, that if she's not sure what happened to John, that's his house, that she would go to the house, that she'd wake up the kids and say, where is John? Have you seen him? Why? I don't think necessarily that Karen would have had Jen McCabe's phone number or Carrie Roberts' phone number. And the oldest niece did know Jennifer McCabe well because she's friends with her daughter, and Jennifer McCabe coached some of her sporting teams. So she had known Jennifer well. And, the impression that you get from the oldest niece is that, Karen was, distraught, beside herself. And so it may be hard to put a lot of logic into what she was doing that morning.
Ted, I have one quick question before we have to get in a break, but the cross-examination, how did that go? Did the defense use kid gloves during that? But more importantly, they brought out that the incriminating statement of maybe I hit him, that the niece didn't tell police that initially.
Yeah, that's about the only question that David Yannetti asked, and that was on the niece. After she finished her testimony saying, hey, I heard this incriminating statement, he said, well, you spoke to law enforcement at this time, and he gave the exact date. And he asked her, did you make this statement to them? I'm not sure if we ever got a full answer before there was an objection, but, what he was insinuating was, hey, why didn't you say this before? Why are all these incriminating statements coming out months and even years later? And I think that David Yannetti tried to insinuate that it's possible that Jennifer McCabe had been coaching this girl. He asked her, how much have you been talking with her? How much, have you been talking about this case? So I think David was trying to leave it with the jury that, okay, this girl, her testimony, she's gone through it with these people who he says have a very vested interest in the outcome of this trial.
Right, using that term coaching in front of the jury.
Court TV are covering this trial daily, so check them out and subscribe if you're not already to them. They are an amazing channel. So let's discuss this insinuation of coaching by the defense. What we just heard at the very end is one of the risks to children testifying. The niece added details she had not mentioned before. So was she coached to add these details that she overheard Karen Read say, I hit him? Why would she add these details that she had not mentioned before? To answer this, what possibly could be happening, I'm not saying it is, however, let me tell you about a defense mechanism called splitting. That might help us to understand what could be going on, and then you can decide. So our legal system requires those being accused must have the opportunity to face their accusers and defend their position. However, in this case, the children were not a witness to Karen Read dropping off John O'Keefe to the house party. However, they can speak to the day-to-day life, as Karen Read would assist John O'Keefe with parental duties. We heard when they were on holiday with John O'Keefe and Karen Read had in Aruba that they argued and the relationship had been going downhill. Karen Read says that they had their issues, but they were planning future holidays, so they were not breaking up. But the challenges were there because John O'Keefe was relying on Karen Read to help with the children. Let's say more than she expected. In the trial, Jen McCabe said Carrie Roberts told the police that Karen Read was no more than a babysitter with benefits, though Carrie Read did not mention that in the trial. We also just heard that the children have been spending time with Jen McCabe, and given that Jen McCabe has strong opinions as to Karen Read's guilt, we need to ask ourselves, have the children been influenced, especially since the niece has added incriminating information she had not mentioned before. So, a defense mechanism of splitting is when a person has been through tremendous stress, and it is the brain's way of making sense of complicated situations. With children, the adults in their life fall into two categories, bad or good. So the child is essentially having to take sides, and it is an easier option to comply with the narrative of the majority views in their life. Here, I can give you an example that you may have heard of, and some of you may have even experienced it if you've gone through a nasty breakup, divorce, and you're going through a custody battle. All of a sudden, your child doesn't want to see you. And normally, that's because the other parent is talking negative, or they're making the child feel bad if they want to see the other parent. So the child has to choose one parent over the other parent. And they do this, picking sides, to make their life easier. However, in the Karen Read case, the children most certainly know what the charges are against her, that she left their uncle that has been taking care of them and who has adopted them and ran him over, and has been charged with his murder. So there is a good possibility they have been coached. Having said that, on another channel I heard that the children also said that Karen and John never hit each other. They also said that the defendant did not have access to their ring cam. And you'll know this is important, as there is a missing video of the morning Karen Read, Jen McCabe, and Carrie Roberts were leaving John O'Keefe's property. So, who deleted that video and why? In criminal cases where there are serious criminal allegations against someone that is close to the children, you want to be sure that the children are interviewed separately without influence. There is only one sure way to avoid children having to take sides, so that they're not around people who can influence them. And a court should order temporary supervision to ensure they are not being influenced one way or another. And in my view, there is a prime movie that illustrates this idea of splitting. It is an award-winning film called Anatomy of a Fall. It is set in the French Alps, where a husband is found dead in the snow falling from their 3-story house. The child has been out walking the dog and comes across his father when he comes home. He starts to scream for his mother, who comes running out in shock, and she's just frantic. Police investigate and question the child about his parents. Did they fight? Did they argue? What was the problems like? The child knows that his mother is being charged and held responsible for his father's death. I don't want to give the story away, but put it this way. The police find a recording of a terrible argument, and fight that took place the day before the husband had fallen. And the fight was that the husband wanted to end the marriage. The mother, after hearing that her husband had recorded their fight, she says, sometimes we fight, sometimes, we don't, and when it's over, it's over, and she would never hurt him. The child is asked to testify. The mother realizes this, and she tells him, just tell the truth. But the court is concerned that the mother will influence him, so the court orders a court-appointed social worker to live with the child and the mother so that she cannot influence him. In the trial, the prosecutor and the defense both put forward compelling evidence. The theory by the prosecutor is that the mother pushed the father to his death after the fight, And the defense's theory is that the father took his own life and jumped. In the movie, the trial is all over the media. Just like in the Karen Read trial, there are people saying that the mother is innocent and there's people saying that the mother is guilty. The child in the movie doesn't want to pick sides. Will his testimony convict his mother? That is a big cliffhanger for you. So the movie is a powerful example of what goes through the mind of the mother, father, court, and the child's interactions with the court social worker. It is a real eye-opener, so I hope you check it out. Do you think in the Karen Read trial the children were at risk of being influenced and coached to please those around them that blame Karen Read for John O'Keefe's death? Is this the reason the niece added the incriminating words to her testimony and changed her original account? Now she is saying that she heard Karen Read say, "I hit him." What could be the reason for all of this? By leaving a comment, you may help someone else that will read your comment. And of course, I love to read all comments as they are valued, and together we can be more informed. And this information may help you or someone you know. On this channel, you'll find a variety of playlists to suit every curiosity about the justice system. And we provide you with a visual to information and the process. Going through a legal worry is devastating, and the Who Knew and Why Me playlists are designed to help you or someone you know. So please like this video if you like this kind of content. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I'm going live or upload another video. I'm Karen Cole from Legal Minded Friends. Information is power, meaning if you know something, you can make decisions that are right for you.